Hello, friends. Wonderful greetings of the day to all of you. I really believe that you all are doing good in terms of your holistic health. So, here I, Kunal Nagpal, once again welcome you back to our great economic session. And today we are basically going to discuss the overall interview session conducted with Mr. Maurice Obstfield, who is the former chief economist of the International Monetary Fund and currently teaches at the University of California, Berkeley. So speaking to Mr. Srijana Mitra Das, he discusses the world economic conditions and India's part in managing these. He has also spoken significantly about the upcoming G20 summit. That is, what are the areas which need to be considered by India during its presidency of this G20 summit. So what all areas we need to focus on, he has thrown significant light on this particular aspect. Simultaneously, he has also shared his views on the recent G20 summit conducted in Indonesia in the year 2022. Next, we will also be exploring his views on the US-China ties in the current scenario and how are they further going to develop. Further, what all efforts are actually needed in the global coordination to manage the climate crisis at a world scale. So, we are basically going to begin with a graph, my dear friends. This graph will help you to actually analyze the current situation at a global scenario. That is what all economic parameters are existing and what are they reflecting in terms of the overall health of the global economy. So here it is. This first graph is basically of the global GDP growth, which we can see that in the year 2021, if we draw the comparative analysis, it has been gradually decreasing. It has been gradually falling in the till the year 2022, and it is further expected to fall in the year 2023. Simply the reason being the very gloomy global economic situation. Also, the global monetary tightening policies which are taking place are basically causing the GDP growth rate to fall down at a global level. Simultaneously, we can also observe the inflationary trend at a global level. We can see that inflation rate increased significantly in the year 2022. Further, it is expected to decline because of the global monetary tightening measures being introduced by all the central banks worldwide. So because of the global monetary tightening measures, though inflation rate is falling, that is a good thing, but that is also causing the global GDP rate also to further decline quite significantly. This is the current situation at a global level. Along with that, my dear friends, what are these bar charts representing? These bar charts, that is blue colored, red colored, and yellow colored, and green colored, what do they basically signify? They signify the shared factors, that is the greater sanctions applied due to the continuing Russian invasion of Ukraine, reduced Russian oil exports as a response, persistently high inflationary concerns, and restrictive financial conditions could basically impact the world economy into 2023. This is the basic conclusion of this graph. And the data courtesy has been the International Monetary Fund World Economic Outlook Update, Washington Washington DC. And this statistical data has been collected as per the July 2022, which basically signify what do these colored graphs signify? Differently colored graphs signify. The blue colors basically signifies the sanctions on oil and other commodities. Red color signifies the shutdown of gas exports to Europe. Yellow color signifies higher inflation expectations, which we can see. Obviously, the inflationary expectations are quite high. Then the green color represents the tighter financial conditions. So obviously the financial conditions are going to get tightened because of the overall global monetary tightening policies impact. And obviously the total impact is this black colored, which signifies the GDP trend, which has been consistently falling. Then this inflation is also depicted by this black line, the total impact on global inflation. It is also expected to fall down in the year 2023. So we can observe the downward sloping GDP graph, the global GDP graph, and the V-shaped, that is the inverted V-shaped of the global inflation graph. So this is the trend. Now we are basically going to discuss the question answer round with this great pioneer leader, Mr. Maurice Obstfield, former chief economist of IMF and currently who is teaching at the University of California, Berkeley. First question put to this great pioneer is, what is the core of your research? To which he replies, my most recent work focuses on the role of the dollar in the international monetary system and the impacts of a stronger dollar, which include lower global growth and particularly strong effects on emerging market economies. Obviously, the emerging market economies worldwide are bearing the effect of this global gloomy economic situation. Second question put to him is, how has the American economy been able to escape a possible recession in the current scenario? To which he replies, it's actually too early to conclude the United States is heading for a soft landing. That means accomplishing a falling inflation rate closer to its 2% target without significant unemployment. I would still put the odds of notably lower growth in the United States next year and a possible recession at better than 50-50. We are actually not out of the woods yet. Commentary suggesting otherwise is not analyzing how entrenched inflation has become in the US economy. Third question put to this great leader is, how do you view the recent G20 summit? To which he replies, the Indonesian G20 presidency deserves praise for the way it conducted the meetings in an extremely difficult environment due to Russia's regressive actions. The leaders' meeting in Bali was very significant, with a jointly agreed communique that rightly center-staged the Russian invasion as a critical factor, causing much greater difficulties for food and energy prices and inflation worldwide. In terms of concrete initiatives, the record is actually not so good. There has been a lot of endorsement of the idea of richer countries providing more resources to promote climate resilience and adaptation globally, but that has not really happened yet. The framework the G20 pioneered regarding the debt treatments for the countries needing restructuring has not progressed to a stage where it brings in it the private sector most efficiently, covers a broad range of countries, including the middle-income ones, or deals effectively with China. Next question obviously put to him is, what should India expect during its leadership of the G20 now? To which he replies, unfinished business from Indonesian presidency remains high on the agenda. Also, some factors could grow more acute. If the Fed keeps raising interest rates and more emerging markets experience the debt distress, the common framework will be even a larger problem. The continuing war in Ukraine will also be a critical factor. As the G20 leader, India will have to forge unity on the global problems, including climate change, public health, and financial stability. and it will have to navigate these crucial issues amidst tension between Russia and the rest of the world. Next question put to him is, how are the United States and China ties developing? The answer to this is, the trade linkages between the United States and China are actually not going positive. So, in light of the wider global tensions, the United States is actually taking actions to restore the chip industry and deprive China of key capacities which might be relevant for its defense capabilities and possibly go wider. China is also becoming more isolated, this beyond its relationship with the West. The Chinese regime has clamped down more broadly on the free market, including its own domestic tech industries. It's become more insular with less interchange between Chinese central bank officials and Western officials. President Xi Jinping's drive to consolidate the political power in a very personal way can't help but chill the Chinese relations with the rest of the world economically. It is also impacting the enterprise within the country itself. The next question put to him is, how do you view the International Monetary Fund's analysis of India as a bright performer on a relatively dark global economic stage? To which he answers, India has extremely strong fundamentals which are putting in a position to become the world's third largest economy measured by the gross domestic product in the next decade. It has a young labor force and significant human capital with very talented people. Currently, India is at the fifth position in terms of the GDP performance across the globe, but he is actually saying that India would be in a position to become the world's third largest economy measured by GDP in the next decade. It has a young labor force that is a strong demographic dividend and significant human capital with very talented people. It's undertaken the reforms that are promoting investments in industry. So its warehousing reforms enable India to actually play a key role in the global economic scenario. In the whole global economic scenario in terms of the supply chains. Altogether, that is a bright picture. Also, as China grows more isolated, India could benefit from that as well. Next, the last question put to him is, what kind of global coordination is actually needed to manage the climate crisis? To which he answers, there should actually be adherence to prior and new commitments where rich countries financially aid the developing economies to invest in green infrastructure, reduce dependence on fossil fuels, and benefit from green technology innovations. That's actually the need of the hour. This helps the global prosperity by reversing the climate degradation. It also fits the West's geopolitical goals by reducing the fossil fuel-based dependence on Russia and other oil exporters. Another vital aspect is biodiversity and public health. The Indonesian G20 presidency offered hopes for a joint approach to financing the public health initiatives globally, with a forum of finance and health ministers. There has been actually progress in setting up a financial intermediary fund at the World Bank to support the best global public health services. Yet, we have not advanced much in concrete terms, even though the climate change is promoting the emergence of the new pathogens. Many policymakers are drawing the wrong conclusion about the outbreaks being under control. Actually, the next pathogenic disaster could be far more dangerous. unless we build the global capacity to monitor and apply the genomic analysis to the pathogens inhabiting the zoonotic reservoirs, we are basically sticking our heads in the sand. So I hope the G20 will focus on this now. So India should focus on throwing significant light on this particular aspect in order to make G20 presidency a success. So, my dear friends, it's been really great to go through this interview, and the key highlight of this interview is that he analyzes India's position to be the world's third largest in terms of the economic performance in the next decade. Its G20 leadership amidst challenges will actually be the key. So, my dear friends, this is a great interview session, and I hope it will help you immensely to draw significant insights, helping you to develop the holistic picture of our economic performance in this current global economic scenario. Along with that, I hope it will really help you to basically gather insights regarding the performance and the current level of the current level of all relevant economic parameters at a global level, and the overall international relationships existing between the major economies across the globe. I would like to say the major powerhouses across the globe. How is that going on? Along with that, the G20 summit, which was held in Indonesia recently, what all contributions it made to addressing the strategic global issues. Further, the upcoming G20 summit, which is supposed to be held in India in the year 2023, what are the key issues which India need to address? So I hope it was a great session for you all, and I would be really grateful to all of you if you could share your views and valuable suggestions, so that I can focus on them, helping me to implement your valuable suggestions and actually incorporate them in our subsequent sessions. Thank you so much. That's all for the day. Namaskar. Jai Hind.